Good evening, welcome to Rivalz Radio. Bam! The intro comes sliding down the pipe, but great to be here on a Tuesday. How you doing, buddy?
Good, how are you?
Good. I got to share this broadcast so everybody knows we're on the air right now. If you don't already know it. Are we live on Facebook too? Shows how to touch I am. I'm terrible. Spencer, can you tell us? All right, we're on Facebook. See, Spencer's the voice of reason in our ears. Anyways, Adam, what was your day, buddy? I had a great day, and I want to tell you about it.
No, wait a second. You might have had a great moment or a couple of great moments, but I spoke with you on the phone. How long did we talk on the phone without really saying anything? Like there was a good 5 minutes where we were both so annoyed because we couldn't think of what we wanted to think of, and we're just stewing on it. And
okay, let me.
So you had a good moment after that because you saw the light. Had nothing to do with me, but you had some moments afterwards that rescued your horrible day. But the first part of the day was a little troubling.
Actually,
is that fair?
Yeah, no, it's kind of right. So we're just waiting for some viewers to jump on board. So we're gonna kick around. We do have a great show ahead of us tonight, ladies and gentlemen. On top of the racing world on the ear, we'll talk about those in a minute. But so my day started out. We're going to release the Oswego Speedway schedule Friday online, and it goes to print, so it'll be ready for Motorama next week. So that's awesome. But so I've been trying to lock down all the sponsors and get a face to face with all the big guns before we go to print. And I had got a hold of Jay Hill from Burger Barn last week. He said meet Tuesday. So I said the morning, because you know me, I like to talk and I hate looking at all that great food while I'm trying to give my pitch. And Glenn does it to me too. He's sitting there eating and I don't get to eat all this awesome food. So I said 10 o'clock in the morning, knowing I fully wouldn't want breakfast. So Jay finally he says, yeah, I'll take breakfast. Breakfast. So I figure I'll get two. I gotta go meet Alex Schutz and do a bunch of other things. So I order a meal, Adam. I swear they were this big, this thick. I ate 2 pork chops for breakfast today as I tried to give my pitch to Jay. So I highly recommend the food there, as you already know we all do on this crew. But so that was a good start to my day. Then I went over to the shop for a minute, went to the Speedway, and then I got to have lunch with Alex Schutz, who was a great supporter of everything, instant installation, whether it be Flamborough or Oswego, raced all over the place. Just a good guy. So I had lunch with him, talked some good racing stuff. And then I got a good call from Dan Nanacoke at the end of my day. So that was some good stuff that went on there. So turned out to be all right. But I had to tell you about the Burger Barn P-meal bacon because I haven't had to eat since. It's been that good.
I'm glad to hear it.
I stirred around my lunch. But I'll be honest with you. I did have a study. You and I were racking our brain trying to come up with something creative, and we just couldn't do it. And in the end, my wife Christine was the one who talked me into the voice of reason and got me straight and, got me back on the straight path when it came to the racing.
So your wife made you straight? Is that what you just said? Speaking of
She's
which,
always
well, we'll
kept me
get to
straight.
that late. We'll get to that later in the show.
You want to start talking about nuts right now? That a good segue
Uh,
for
yeah,
you? Um,
yeah.
well, first off, let's talk about the bounties. I guess it's pretty cool. So it
How do you
started
go
out
from
with.
nuts to
Do you want to talk?
bounties?
Well, it's at the top of the rivals list, but we can go back to it. All right, we'll talk about nuts first then. So NASCAR, as they continue to develop their car, has gone to the 2021 announcement that is going to be one single lug nut in the center of these wheels with new wheels, opposed to the 5 traditional one we've had for 70 years. And Adam, social media went crazy yesterday over this one announcement, and I was kind of shocked by how crazy everybody thought it was with all the developments we've had. What are your thoughts?
I think it's a great idea. That's it. It's a
I
great
did too.
idea. It makes total sense. It simplifies pit stops. The days of being impressed with a crew dancing around a race car are over. Now it's down to who pits for 2 tires, who pits for 4 tires. It's just there's just not everyone got so good at it that it's just not a part of the gimmick anymore. The way they do these pit stops. So with one nut, you're going to know damn well if it's loose or if it's tight, and you're not going to let the car out if it's got lug nuts loose. So I mean, I think it's going to look good. Um, but otherwise, who cares? Like, why are people up in arms about this? I
I'm
say go to
shocked.
air jacks. Go to air jacks like an Indy car. Pull in, engage the hose, lift the car. There's no jackman running around it. Clean. A crew member is going to get like it's a miracle. It's a stupid miracle that no crew member has been killed in a long time. It's going to happen, and then people are going to say, "Oh, we couldn't imagine this happening. Racing is such a safe sport." Pit road speed limit. What's the fastest pit road speed limit? Would it be?
I think it's
Let's say
55.
it's 55 miles an hour. So imagine driving down the freeway while 7 people dance around 40 cars. And you're driving by them at 55 miles per hour. So, I mean, people have to look at it's all fun and games until it's not.
I don't disagree with your logic, and I think for a long time we've been looking at the safety of the sport, and almost becomes an afterthought because we haven't had a major incident that we've had that broke a lot of news, but the Ryan Newman deal makes us all kind of be like, whoa, this is a wake up call. We are doing a dangerous thing here, and I think that certainly brought it back into it. But to combat your argument, though, you're still going to have guys dance around the cars with one nut instead of 5. I think it
Yeah.
takes away the loose lug nut deal, like you mentioned off in the first part of your monologue there. And I think, that's probably the best case I can see for, because even when we're sitting at Daytona, Christine asked me, like, after the race, why do they all got to stop at the yellow line and what are they looking for? They're looking to make sure they got all their lug nuts on tight, and $10,000 fines if they're loose. And, I was watching the Dale Jr. download the other day, and one thing that he was saying is, he was arguing to get rid of the yellow line, and he's just let the drivers go at it. Like you're so worried we're going to crash because we're crashing anyways. He's like, just let
Yeah.
the drivers police themselves, take the judgment calls out of it, and if some driver wails down there and makes a stupid move, he's going to have to face everybody at the next drivers meeting, and he'll hear about it, and it'll police itself. But sometimes you do have to keep the monkeys from themselves too.
I mean, I think people cling to things that they remember that they really loved about racing. If you remember watching race cars come onto pit road when there was no pit road speed limit, my God, that was
Oh yeah,
insane. Like, it was
Spencer,
insane the things that happened.
can you put up the picture, Spencer? Maybe I didn't send it over in the best format, but see if you can screenshot that, just so if the fans maybe aren't up to, or the viewers aren't up to speed on what we're talking about, just the different look of the wheel and the lug nuts and that. So if you get that up in a second, but yeah, Adam, I think so there's the new wheel. I mean, we talked about this at lunch today with Alex and Anthony at lunch, and we were thinking about like sprint cars use them. They've been used in Indy cars. They've been used, and people are saying, oh, they're not going to be safe at those speeds. I mean, yeah, they will be. We see them all the time, right?
Yeah, you see it a lot, and it is change, and people don't like change, but I mean, sometimes you got to get used to it. While I'm thinking about it, Steve Petty made a comment on our YouTube feed on GForce TV. Steve, reach out, send me a note. Gary Calling was looking for a dirt racing announcer, and I suggested you, so let's make sure we get you guys connected.
Wow, we all must be busy that weekend.
I am going
recommend
away.
Steven. I'm all about Steven. Steven's a great announcer. So, Steven's a triple threat. DJ, writer, announcer.
He does it all.
Enough about our buddies. So, back to this deal. I want to argue with you, though. I'm not in for the air jacks. I mean, that's the other thing. It's the human element, right? So, there is still the possibility of you messing up with those 5 lugs. There's still a possibility of messing up with the jack. I mean, look what happened to Ryan Newman. Or, sorry, not Ryan Newman, Truex this week. You know, he's having a great race, rolling awesome, rolls in, tire changer has a problem with the gun, took him out of the race. Well, these lug nuts aren't going to change that one way or the other. But it still is that element that it's a team sport, right?
Ish.
Team sport-ish? Wait, that'd be a good debate. We could probably fight that for an hour. Because
who operates their computer? Who operates their computer better than the next? So now you're talking apples and oranges. It's
what, team sport ish?
Yeah,
racing's a team sport.
Well-paid teams. People that I just it's a team sport, but see, you've got pit roads and pit stops, and like it's all changed so much. We focus. You don't see the forest through the trees sometimes. It's a team sport.
I was talking about racing in general. You were talking about NASCAR specifically, so that's where we got off track there.
Definitely a team sport. There's just such a gap now between the way things work at the highest levels and how those teams are structured and how they're almost corporations anymore. It's hard to relate. It's hard to look at it the same way as we look at our Friday night program and the teams that come out there.
All right, let's talk about bounties on top of bounties. So it all kicked off there with Kevin Harvick mentioning that he would throw a $50,000 bounty at any Cup drivers who could come into the Truck Series and beat Kyle Busch. And then the folks at Gander Outdoor, they jumped on board with another $50 to make $100,000. And we talked about this a bit last week. And since then, Hallmark Friesen Racing, Chris Larson, has jumped on board and said he will give $50,000 to a truck driver who can unseat Kyle Busch. And then jumped on the backside of all these bounty arguments and says, well, what if I beat him and they don't get the bounty because they can't beat me? What do I get? Hallmark and Larson are going to give $25,000 to the Kyle and Samantha Busch Foundation, which is super generous and super cool. Now, we had talked a bit about last week how it was going to affect the field and whether it was good or bad for the sport of trucks. Now, Adam, what's your thoughts on this? I think it's two sides have a fair shot at everything. It's definitely going to bring some excitement now because the truckers have someone to cheer for. And the Cup fans who watch that race to see these guys come in and try and take it away from Busch is going to be super exciting. I think they've hit on all points. What are your thoughts?
This is nothing new. Junior Hanley, when all these bounties were put on Junior Hanley, he used to step up and say, what's in this for me? Now, you're paying these guys big bucks if they can come and beat me. All that's out there for me is the purse. And really, it's the same thing. So nice that they made that gesture to Kyle Busch, but ultimately, nobody cares. All anyone wants to see is someone beat Kyle Busch, right? That's the gimmick. Everything else is just window dressing. The big deal is who can come in here and beat Kyle Busch at a game that he's dominated for years.
I think it's a hit. It's going to have for one, we're already talking about Cup drivers. We're talking about truck drivers. We're talking about sponsors. There's a lot of people coming into this that have propelled the media and all of us to talk about these things. The other thing is, I'll bet you damn well we're all going to watch the next race to see how this all plays out. Well, like I said, whether you're a Cup fan or a truck fan or whatever. So I think it's a win-win. The ones who really got to be loving this are NASCAR because they have not put up $50,000 or anything like it. and their product is going to get the benefit of all this extra jazz. So kudos
For
to
sure.
them.
Yep.
As a
Oh
promoter,
yeah.
we always
It's
love the freebies.
well, that's what it is. This is real race promotion. And it is exciting. It's a lot of fun. Great for Kevin Harvick, who started all of this, and a bunch of people for jumping on board. And like you say, it'll all come down to the numbers. How many more people are going to watch the next truck race that Kyle Busch is in compared to how many would have watched had all this not gone down?
I think the problem becomes now, if this is a huge success and somebody does win the bounty and it's all done at this next race, they're going to scratch their heads thinking, hey, how do we get that buzz again? How do we recreate this, you know?
And you know what? You make a fantastic point, and I think that's a big part of the problem that we all have right now. Maybe it's not even in racing. When something fantastic happens, let it happen. Come up with your next idea down the road, but you don't always have to, okay, we did this here, how are we going to beat this? Well, no, just enjoy that moment. You're right. There's got to be the next big thing, but that's where the real creative people come in, and that's when these big ideas take on lives of their own. That gets really exciting is when it's organic. It's not forced. It's not like a competition with oneself to outdo what they did last week. If what you did last week was freaking awesome, enjoy it for a while.
No, I'll give you that, but let's talk about race promotion. I mean, look at someone who's in my position with this Pinty's race coming up. We're looking to make it the biggest event we've ever had. We've got all kinds of ideas on the table. As I mentioned, Christine, she just talked me down from a big, crazy cockamamie idea I had too, and said you don't need it. I think there's a lot of ways that you try and make it big, but are you trying too hard? And that's a lot of the stress we talked about off the top of the show. We were frustrated this afternoon because it was like I'm trying to think, but nothing's happening. It just wasn't working for us, and we couldn't come up with a creative idea that we both liked or we thought would work. And still, at the end of the day, I'm not sure we're happy with the end result, but we're going to go with it. And I'm not going to say it right now, but and sometimes you got to work those deals out because you're up against the deadline. But I think with our creative folks we've got around us, they're going to polish up this stone into a diamond no matter what we come up with. But I think in the end, it was a frustrating day, and that was part of my frustration was you. I'm like, man, like we're not getting anywhere, and it was frustrating. So from my big race coming up, the big Pinty's race we all going to be dealing with here, what do we do? It's my big problem because I sit and think about it day and night, but what would fans like to see? What would you like to see at the races? I'd love to hear those ideas so we could try and make them happen. We're looking at some live entertainment in the fan area. I've talked about some vendors, but this
Well,
race continues to take on a mind of its own.
I'm glad you asked that sort of question, Clinton, because last week we also asked a question of the race fans about grand marshals. And I got a lengthy note from one of our fans and suggested there's a young man born in Stratford who has a mansion in Puslinch who you might be able to get out to the racetrack. So he's talking about Justin Bieber. So I like the fact that when people have these ideas, they think big.
I'm not afraid to go after Justin Bieber. Let's start a campaign right now on Twitter to get Justin Bieber to the NPS race on dirt or any race at Ush Weekend Speedway. And hell, we'll even put him in a crate race car. If he wants to get into a crate sprint car, I'll make that happen too. So that's the official call out. Your idea, or whoever sent it in, let's go after it. I mean, he was at the Owen Sound hockey game the other day I saw, so you never know why he wouldn't come to Ush Weekend. But it might be like Trump. We need that kind of security for Bieber. But let's talk a little bit about the NPS on dirt. We'll have Stuart Friesen's car on display at Motorama, and we'll get back to Motorama in a minute. But we'll have Friesen's car on display. The Scott Steckley prepared Stuart Friesen, Mr. Transmission Quick Wick car, number 24 at Motorama. It's going to be exciting, so make sure you come out and check it out and see us while you're there. But we'll talk about that in a bit. Adam, another deal that usually gets announced at a place like Motorama was the Tagliani deal, and we got it Canadian style. He announced his new deal today, and that could be my spelling mistake over to Spencer. But either way, let's talk a bit about that. You shared it into our production file chat today. So what did you want to talk about that?
You're talking about Alex Tagliani?
Yes.
I think he's going to be stiff competition this year, Clinton. He's always in there for big announcements. When he releases a new sponsor, like he likes to go big. There's a big unveiling. He really whipped it out today. Spencer, have you got that picture? Viagra.
Viagra.
Alex Tagliani, arms around Dominic Fougere, sporting the new Viagra look on that race car. It's got half the hood. It's going to be a punny season. Like when he puts it on the pole, I can't wait. I can't wait. Like it's endless. The possibilities are absolutely endless.
That was going to be one of my questions. My question was either going to be, how big of an announcement is that for Tagliani? Or was it going to be, how big of a gift is this for you and Dave Bradley for the rest of the summer?
This is the gift that's going to keep on giving. I mean, usually if it doesn't stop after 4 hours, you need to call a doctor. I'm calling 5 months. 5 months of undeniable, undisputable gist. I mean, these jokes write themselves.
When we led into that and you were just silent for a minute and you're playing dumb, and I'm thinking, come on, man, you brought this to the table. How much of your afternoon did it take to write that monologue there, your script? That was impressive.
It was all chat between me and Dave Bradley this afternoon talking about this announcement. And actually, Dave Bradley, Dave is kind of the stiff side. Like, he's a pro. He kind of calls things on the straight and narrow. Yeah, exactly. But he was on it. He was rocking the puns. It was great fun.
Oh boy, that is too funny. But congrats. I mean, anytime you can bring big corporate sponsors like that to your deal, especially here in Canada, it's a great announcement. And there's no more professional team out there than Tagliani. But I'm sure media all over the country is having some fun with this one today. And you just might have led the charge with that, Adam. I was impressed by that.
Tagliani has a lot of haters. There's a lot of people that like to really be hard on Alex Tagliani. And that this is going to feed those groups. Like there's a lot of, if you go on Twitter, if you go on the socials, you see a lot of mean things about Alex Tagliani. And let me tell you, he's a good guy, but he's a firecracker. So, he just brings this tornado of attention, and it's awesome. And now his sponsor is Rona and Viagra. Like, both of those places basically sell wood. So I don't know if it's a conflict or not, but that's why they're both on the hood together.
I can tell what our quick bits are going to be this week. Anyways, moving on. Unless you got more, I'll let you go all night.
No.
That was my best shot at a Viagra.
I get it. Well, see, the funny thing is, you just let it fall. Let them fly. You just keep saying stuff. And you're like, oh wow, that works. That was funny too. So all good, man. That was fun.
Every time you bring up that car for the rest of the summer, I'm going to be wondering what's coming out of your mouth next. So it's going to be entertaining. I can only imagine when you and Bradley get double fire up in the booth going at it. So, but thankfully you're on national TV, so you'll have to behave a little bit. But here, hey, say whatever you want. Let her fly.
I'll tell you.
Or
sometimes,
rather say, whip them out.
Sometimes Tony and his gang, they bring me Pinty's chicken. Like, some of these race teams supply me with stuff from their sponsors. So I wonder if I'll be able to cash in. I mean, like, not that I need that sort of thing. But
is it not your anniversary? You should have been on the ball a little bit tonight.
It is. We went out for a great supper, Angie and I. We didn't even have to take the kids. It was awesome. And now she's in bed, and I'm up doing this, and I was practicing in between for Kansas tomorrow night and pulling my hair out. That's gonna be a crazy race.
I thought you were saying you're practicing for your,
No.
Your anniversary night.
No.
Don't need. I ain't touching it.
We've gone off the rails. I know. Yeah, nailed it.
All right. We got to move on. We could go at this for a while. The next thing was announcer homework. Do you have that screenshot, Spencer, that I sent you? Or I can bring it up here to read it. There it is. So Paul Harkenrider, who was a Patriot Sprint Tour and does some announcing in New York, he said, just want some opinions on this. How should track announcers prepare for a race? I see a lot of my colleagues post on Facebook and Twitter asking drivers to send in info. Is that really the best way, or should you really just go and talk to them? So Paul Small responds, ideally teams would send info to the announcer, but not everyone's on social media. Nothing's better for races and be able to put it went on. I thought it was a good discussion, Adam. I know I've seen the gamut of it from guys who do stats right down to everything. I thought it was a good topic for us to talk about. I know you have a different style. You like to walk through the pits before the races and talk to all the teams. I don't know. Just curious on what your opinion is.
It depends what I'm doing. When it comes to the NASCAR Pinty Series, it's quite often we'll have 6-7 hours on race day of downtime. So you have lots of time to wander around the team, see who's doing what, see who's got, crowds of people or special guests. You can really get into the stories. When it comes to a weekend on a Friday night, we've got 100 teams, Clinton. It's been 20 years since I've been in the pits when Mike Giberson rolled into the racetrack. Every other time since then, I'm up in the tower when he's rolling in. And he's just one example of all of these drivers who might come in a little bit later. And even if they don't, there's just so many teams you can't possibly talk to all of them. So you search on the social media and you try to pick up what you can. Thankfully for me, I've never been a big stats person. You look at guys like Harkenrider,
Rich
Vleck,
Tommy,
even Greg Callan, Tommy Gooch. They are quite prepared. They know where the stats are. Now, I'll quite often open a lot of windows on my computer if I need to refer to points or things like that. I prefer to tell the stories as they develop. Over the years, there's been a couple of announcers. Well, there's only one that's really popping into mind right now, who had almost written the narrative of the whole night before the night started. And you could tell as the night was going on, they're just telling the story that they were going to tell no matter what. Well, that's not how racing works. You kind of have to react to things, see what develops, see what grows, and be ready for whatever is going to happen. As I say, every announcer's got a different kind of style, but that's the only thing I think you can't be is unwilling to adapt to the situation, to the surroundings, and tell the story that's happening as the night progresses.
Yeah, I tend to fall under the same deal as yours. I mean, a running joke for me was years when guys like Frana that would try and hand me a stat. I'd just say, I don't do paper was my joke, because I can't be looking at the page and trying to announce that race. You know what I mean? I'm with you. The style of announcing I am is let the world fall down around us, and we're going to tell you what's going on as it's happening. And I don't need to know the last time somebody did that, and not say there isn't a place for it, because I think it's super cool. When I work somebody alongside a guy like Tim Baltz comes to mind, or Shane Andrews, those guys take impeccable notes for the tour they're on. And I'm sure I'm just singling those guys out because I've stood beside them and went, holy shit, I definitely don't do enough homework because these guys are knocking it out on those things. But I don't know. I think our style of the storytelling, and I think I've been very lucky. I mean, Facebook helps a ton. I got most of the drivers on my deal. You can usually pick up the hot stories from the week, who's blowing a motor, who's been thrashing in their garage. You pick up enough stories by keeping your ear to the ground. I got enough friends out there. You hear the gossip. You know what the problems are. So those are the stories
what
gone down, and usually enough to make it work.
You know what comes to my mind was the week that Logan Schwedick has his tow vehicle stolen.
Yeah.
Right. So that was a story. We kind of knew that was happening. When did that happen? The night before the race, or was it the day of the race?
It was pretty exactly.
It was pretty short order, but word got out he didn't have a tow vehicle. I forget who did bring his car to the track, but there's a story just by being on social media. I mean, that trumps a lot of other things. How many nights have we watched, Clinton, in the pits, and you'll see pit crews at the fence furious. Like, wait, okay, something's going on here because they're mad. Let's figure out what's happening. So we kind of get to the bottom of things as they're going on, and notes won't prepare you for that. You just have to kind of be talking to certain people. So you definitely do pick and choose the people you want to hear from on a Friday, and not to say that you don't want to hear from everybody, but there's some people that you know are just plugged into a lot of different race teams, and they're going to tell you if something strange is happening.
Yeah, thanks for the comments, Peter, Steven. Like I said, man, your style, you don't got nothing to worry about. I think, you know, our style has served us very well. I think in the early days, because we weren't all about stats, we just talk about whatever the hell we want to talk about. You and Greg are the same way. You know, I was talking to Alex today. He said, man, you guys could be your own show just sitting up there doing your deal. And I think that's because you're so easygoing. It's like we're sitting at home watching it on the couch together, and that's the big thing. But I think for myself, I've always felt lucky. Like somehow I happen to get the right rumor or the right story and be on top of it just by luck on many nights. And you look brighter than you are because you happen to just hit on the right guy at the right time to get the right dig. But I think, yeah, it's a great argument, great discussion, I should say. I think there's so many different styles, you know. I'm with you, though. I'll tell you what, I'm a really shy guy. You may not know that, but the microphone gives you the power. The job of being the manager gives me the power to walk up to anybody. I don't mean power trip, it's just internal power, you know, to overcome that shyness. And me, my wife says, you are not shy. I'm like, but if I don't know your name, I'm not going up to just start a chit chat. That's where you're a lot different than me, Adam. You have no problem just walking up and being friends with anybody. I'm kind of a shy asshole who wants to hang back in the back, and unless I know you, I don't really need to talk. And it comes off as me being a cold ass, but it's not that way. It's just I'm shy, so I have a hard time walking to every pit stall, talking to all these guys. That's one thing I'm trying to overcome. You know, if we talk about your mind well sessions, that's one thing that I've always dealt with is how to get over that, you know, the initial deal when you don't have your cape of the microphone, you know?
It's funny you say that because I was about to tell a story from so I host these mind well sessions, which are events for people who battle with mental illness. I'm one of them. I battle anxiety and depression. I've had a lot of great messages from people saying, you know, hey, I never would have thought this. I never would have thought that. What it's allowed me to do is you start telling these stories and you start talking about things that I never realized before. But it occurred to me not long before the last session, I brought it up. I said, I was asked a question. I was in an interview a couple of weeks ago, and the person says, well, what do you do when your anxiety flares up and you're at the races and you have to announce? It's never happened. It probably never will. But it dawned on me that at the races, I'm a character. I play a role at the races. I don't talk the way I announce in the booth. I don't talk like that on a given day. That's my persona when the microphone gets turned on. So to stand in front of these Mindwell sessions and play the character of Adam Ross, I don't know how to act like myself because it's not natural. I know how to act like the guy who announces car races because that's a character that I've developed over 20 some odd years. This is what I want to sound like. This is how I want to talk. But when you have to try to be yourself, like being yourself and being the person you are on a microphone is so much different, Clinton.
No, I agree. You know, same thing. I was a musician, right? So I played in the band for a lot before I got into announcing, and I remember doing things in school and college, and they're like, "Man, you look so nervous. You just played the bar in front of 300 people." I'm like, "Yeah, because I'm comfortable there. Here, I'm standing in front of 15 people. I'm shitting my pants." You know, and
Yeah.
I fully get that side of things. Yeah, man, it's great we can talk about our issues. Hey, Adam and I are out there. If you're our friends and you got issues, we're both here to talk to you anyways. So, you know, I think that's something to be known. You're not alone out there. I'm trying to teach my kids about the secret. You know, you get back what you put out. If you put out sunshine and good attitude, you're gonna have a great day.
So
And I'm trying to learn that myself.
You know what? It's amazing. So I've been fortunate the last few years. I've sort of opened up to myself, and it's helped me discover things that are good and scary and horrible. But whatever, you know, it's self-discovery. But I've had different people come to me and say, you know what? After reading some of this or after talking to you for a little while, so I think this explains some of the feelings I've been having here or there. You know, just talking to people and listening to people is a huge help. There's only one other thing I want to say about announcing, Clinton, before we might move on to the next. My main goal, as awful as this is, I want to be entertaining. I want to do a good job. But what makes me the happiest is when Greg Calvin or Dave Bradley, not so much you because we're not side by side, when they have to turn their microphone off because they don't know what to say or they're laughing too hard to carry on. That's it. Like, that's my night is made. That's all I want, is to render someone speechless who is supposed to be talking. And I just celebrate it. And it's awful, but I live for that moment when the mic goes off and Greg and Darren Shawcross are laughing hysterically because they can't control themselves. I mean, that's when I'm my happiest. I've mission accomplished.
Yeah, it takes me back to when you tried to come up with the definition of cockeyed, and we talked about it for 10 minutes on the live broadcast on the only night of the year that the owners of the Speedway were on vacation, sitting on the beach, watching and listening to every word we said, and we went on and on about it for about 5 minutes. Yeah, I remember those nights, but they're entertaining as heck, and we don't get reprimanded for it. They loved it, so it was great.
Well,
but the moment
that's as angry.
going, oh,
that's
no.
as angry as you've been in a long time.
No, I think we had a good time with it. I was jumping up, but it's one of those moments where you're like cringing and just, geez. Just want to take a moment to mention briansfarm.com. If you haven't checked them out, they've got amazing auctions going on in locations in Trenton and plus Lynch. We're super proud to be partners up with them. They're now the official sponsors of Applefest weekend at Brighton. So if you're down in that neck of the woods, give them the support. They're new sponsors to racing here in both Oshweekend and Brighton. So we want to welcome them here and, of course, with us here at Rivalz Race Chat. If you got questions, they've got answers. Look them up online. Brian's Farm, that's BRYANS, briansfarm.com. And, it's right there on the screen. I should be looking down there. They've been rolling along for over 50 years and super cool. Whatever you need, give them a check out, and you will be impressed. So thank you for everything they do for us. We're excited to continue that relationship this summer. Moving on to our Burger Barn video of the week. I already told you we were with Jake today.
Sure. Yeah, hang on one second. I want to close off on announcers. Peter made a post. Peter, give us the pronunciation of your last name, because I'm always worried I'm going to butcher it, so that's why I'm not going to say it. But he's asking about Joey Logano on Saturday and how hyped up he was to do the announcing. I've been super impressed with Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, Clint Boyer, and I'm going to say something that might surprise people, but I think Dale Jr. and Jeff Burton, but particularly Dale Jr., are fantastic at their job. His excitement is not made up. He really loves racing, and he gets excited talking about the things these drivers are doing. I just think they haven't had that. I'm a big Jeff Gordon fan. I think he's very polished and very professional, but I love the energy that Dale Jr. is bringing to the job that he does. So to Peter's point about Joey Logano, these guys are doing a great job as well. I love it.
Yeah, I think that's crazy that they're down there doing it. And I find it amazing that those were the guys who were doing it not long ago, and they're shocked by what we're watching at that moment too. So that's always interesting to me. I go back to Tony Romo took a lot of shit in the NFL when he started doing the games. I loved it. He was calling the plays. He's like, okay, this is the 3-4. He's going to the pitch. I loved it. I mean, I was super, super cool. And I think guys who've been in that position know the emotions, know what they're going through. And nothing against Darrell Waltrip, but I think he was definitely outdated. He couldn't relate to what these kids are dealing with today. The guys you mentioned definitely can, and I think it's showing. I just want to say, if you're not checking out Dale Jr., he's got a channel here on YouTube along with us, but it's not with us, but his channel is Dirty Mo Media. I tend to watch that a lot. In fact, I binge watched it the other day while I was working at my desk and seeing him talk to all kinds of people. And one thing that I caught from that, he said, we could just spend, our lifetime talking about my dad. And people in here just tell Dale Earnhardt stories. He's like, I think I kind of owe it to the sport to tell a bit of the history. And, he's just having fun, too. One of the interviews that I liked was Steve Letarte, his former crew chief, had never seen Stroker Ace, Six Pack, Days of Thunder, driven. He didn't any of the racing movies, and they made him go home and watch them. And then they had like a book review, and it was cool. But check it out. Some great stories there. He's got them down to cut down like 10 minutes. Some of these interviews. I watched Rick Mass the other day tell the story about how carbon monoxide poisoning, years of carbon monoxide poisoning, was killing him, and they finally got him going and back to feeling better. It took a long time to figure out what it was.
It can stay in your system a long time. When you get sick from carbon monoxide, it can really mess you up for a while. So sorry
what he was saying is that that's all right. We're leading into some more NASCAR chat. So anyways, our Burger Barn video of the week, there's actually two of them. I'm not sure which one we're going to play, but Denny Hamlin got into Kyle Larson on the weekend. So I guess you can play that. And this is kind of, I don't know, he shoved him right off into one, didn't lift at all. And he just rides him right into one to the point that Larson's got nowhere to go and smacks the wall. And kind of wrecked his day. I love that McDonald's car, by the way. Maybe it's just because I'm hungry, but puts in the wall. And I probably shouldn't say that in our Burger Barn video of the week. But I had Burger Barn today. So now that leads us to this video, which was a clip on Twitter that Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson were playing around at the grocery store, and Denny Hamlin drove into the back, and Chip Ganassi took some umbrage with it. Play it, Spencer, if you've got it.
Oh, my bad. Sorry.
So, Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch, but can you put that back on the screen, Spencer? That's Chip Ganassi tweeting out a reply to the video. He said, "Hey, Denny Hamlin, I have a building full of people, including myself, that don't think it's funny. Hashtag bad taste." So basically, Ganassi's saying, look, we build those cars, you wrecked us, we don't think it's funny that you're making a joke about it. So what's your take on that?
Was that Kyle Larson or Kyle Busch in the...
I'm pretty sure
who's in
Kyle
that video?
Larson. Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin.
So why is Chip calling out... Why is Chip calling out...
about it. Sorry.
That's what I mean. Like, why, I get what Chip's saying, but his driver
is, if your driver's okay with it, you should be okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, if Denny did that to somebody else, like anybody but Kyle Larson, like if the other party involved was not part of the joke,
yeah,
I can see, but the other party is, so it's kind of, that to me might be a bit of a tell. Where's Kyle Larson going next year?
Ooh, you're going to throw a long bomb like that off the top.
Have you ever seen Roger Penske do something like that to one of his drivers? Rick Hendrick? That's a strange...
See, that's why we're different, because I was looking at from the Kyle Larson side what he was doing there by hanging around with Denny and thinking, well, that don't mean he's going to gives. But now you're saying Chip throwing Kyle under the bus is kind of saying, hey, maybe our relationship's not that good because he didn't LOL on it.
Yeah, like it's...
What do viewers think? We'd love to hear what your thoughts are.
Yeah, that to me just is strange. It seems weird.
So that will be our Burger Barn videos of the week this week. I got to talk with Jay, and he said he was hearing about the Burger Barn videos week, so that's great. If you see him, let him know you're watching the show, and you appreciate him supporting Rivalz Race, Shadow Course, Burger Barn, traditional fare with all the Southern fixins. You going to interrupt my read?
Yeah, I am, because you know why? We had a gathering at Burger Barn on the weekend. So I know you had Burger Barn today. I'm guessing Jay bought you lunch. Like you didn't pull $1 out of your pocket today, but on the weekend, I took my family to the Burger Barn, and we joined Roger Craig and Rick Scott and Stephen Goldner and Barry Goldner and a couple new friends. I want to say it was Bill Waldron, and who was the other? G-Man, they were calling him. And we all enjoyed breakfast at the Burger Barn. It was an outing for Roger's iRacing Leagues, and it was a lot of fun. And we paid our own bills, Clinton. Tell me again about your free breakfast.
It was amazing. Pork chops, or I should say pea meal bacon this big, this thick. They were like pork chops. I said to Chris, and I said, man, if I would have had 4 sandwiches today. No problem. It was
Attaboy.
that crazy.
Attaboy.
Well, how was your breakfast? Let's talk about the food because that was my read anyways. Tell me what you had there. Tell me how good it was. Tell me what you can get there at the Burger Barn. Breakfast all day.
Connor and I both got breakfast poutine. So hash browns, potatoes, onions, bacon, 3 eggs over easy on top, hollandaise sauce. It was a real low-calorie kind of affair. My goodness, if you leave the Burger Barn hungry, you did it wrong. They bring out a lot of food.
I was talking to Jay about the new Petro Plus fuel stop they've got next door there. So when you go to Burger Barn, don't forget you can fuel up with their brand new travel stop. And basically, it's if you're a traveling around, they're going to have washrooms in there. They're going to have great fuel prices. They've also got the Burger Barn range. Talking about all kinds of food fixings they're going to have in there. So you're going to have another restaurant right there before long on the Burger Barn. I don't want to let any Jay's secrets out, but I'm hungry just thinking about what he's going to be serving there. And that'll be like an all-night deal, I believe, too, for people to come in and grab what you want. It's going to be awesome. So once again, if you're over there, check out the Burger Barn. What's going on in iRacing these days, Adam? I know we had the big charity race on the weekend. March Madness wrapped up last night. Where are we today? What's going on?
Well, because it's week 13 on iRacing, new builds came out, so we don't have a Rivalz Pro Elite race tonight. We have taken the night off. Rivalz Blacktop is in action tomorrow night at Kansas. Man, last week at Michigan, it was wild. We have a lot of cars, more than 30 cars coming out, so we got full fields of race cars. Great racing. I'm hearing from a few more people saying that they're looking to come out and participate, and the broadcast that 39 Productions have been putting on is absolutely phenomenal. So make sure you keep an eye on GForceTV.net. Keep an eye on the Facebook pages. We'll keep you up to date on what's going on. And we've got about a little over a month left in the seasons, Clinton, because once we get into April, we kind of drop what we're doing, get ready for the outdoor season, and focus on that. So it's going to be a great transition from iRacing into outdoor racing, and we've got 12 months a year of fun.
Yeah, I caught Steven Ovens, the announcer for the Rivalz Blacktop Series, talking about how that had become his favorite race of the week to call. And we were worried about how the dirt announcers were going to do on the pavement side, but there's been some great entertainment value. If you need your racing fixed, check it out. There's usually somebody you know in the fields racing in the GForce leagues and the Rivalz leagues. There's always some amazing action. And like I said before, I have never played iRacing. I don't have the game, but I really enjoy watching all the action that's going on. It's been great. Also want to make a mention about GForceTV.net. We have some great partners coming on every week as we get closer and closer to outdoor season, and a lot more new content coming on board. Don't forget to get on the YouTube app on your mobile device. Click on GForceTV.net, look us up, subscribe, and then turn on your notifications. You'll get notified anytime any of us or any of the leagues go on the air, and that's a great way to stay connected with us and everything we've got going on. So make sure you check that out. That's GForceTV.net. I got some interesting news today, Adam, before we talk about Motorama. And this was from Steve Bertrand. He is with the Quebec Crate Sprint teams down there. So he mentioned to me today, it's official. July 26th, I believe it's a Sunday, Saint Guillaume Super Speedway in Quebec is going to have the So that's amazing. Starting the crates this year, they're already going to have a national event down there, sponsored by Burt Transmission. It's going to pay $2,000 to win 4 crate sprints. So in an effort to attract some of the Ontario drivers down on a Sunday night, $2,000 to win, and it's going to be the first ever Burt Transmission Quebec Crate Nationals, and 40 laps plus a guaranteed start for the Nationals, Canadian Crate National at Oswego Speedway, which is going to be September 18th, and that's one thing I can announce. We just signed the deal today. Burger Barn is going to present the Canadian Crate Nationals as part of Canadian Sprint Car Nationals weekend on Friday. So their traditional night before the major event, well, this is going to be just as big of an event. We're excited to say it's going to pay $5,000 cash to win the first Canadian Crate Nationals presented by Burger Barn, or a brand new converted motor, which is north of probably $6,500. Whatever the winner chooses, he'll take home. Whatever he leaves on the table will become Saturday night's feature night prize for the crate sprint. So a great reason for them to come up. That's the Burger Barn Crate Sprint Nationals. The other thing while we're talking about that, Jay also agreed to be the Monday night sponsor of the Northern Summer Nationals. So the night before the Pinty Series, we'll have a lot of sprint car superstars in the house. We had 50 teams there last year, and it's going to be a big camping entertainment event weekend, and it'll be the Burger Barn night before the NASCAR event. So we're excited about that night one of the Northern Summer Nationals. Moving on to Motor
That's
Island.
very cool. Well, hang on. Two things.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to be on vacation. The dates are the 13th, 14th, and 15th, so I see that Spencer fixed that up. Before we go there, we got a comment from Alvers about why not start a 604 crate sprint class at the Big O. It'd be a nice fit between the 602s and the 360s. Don't know if you saw that or not, Clinton.
No, I'm not seeing any comments tonight, so you guys are going to have to follow them to me. One, we just don't need another class in the middle. I think splitting the hairs, that'd be splitting things a little bit too much. The crate sprints are booming so good right now. We certainly don't want to mix that up, and that's why we've, I don't want to say fought, but petitioned hard with the Brockville and Quebec contingents to make sure they're running the exact rules as us so we can build some major events. And as we mentioned in the past, also going to be part of the Brockville Fall Nationals, which is a huge event to cap off the racing season here on the dirt in Ontario. So those are major events that we've been added to. I just don't think a 604 crate is the way to go at this point. Another thing that we did talk about, though, Adam, and this isn't news because I don't see this happening at all. There was talk about getting a crate equivalent to a 360, let's call it. So a cheaper alternative to a 360 where you could get in at a common price point, let's say, for a competitive, reliable 360 sprint car motor. Well, that's great, and we had talked about what we could do, but the problem is if the ESS and the Patriots and all these other guys don't allow that, and why would they, for that matter? You know, you're kind of on an island. It just didn't make sense. So we've gone around to some of the builders we know and say, hey, can we try and work on marketing a bit of a reliable, $20,000 motor for sprint cars? So, depending on who you're dealing with and what's going on, there are deals out there to be had. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, Adam? I hope I touched on the right points there.
No, I think you did. I think the thought process, I agree. And another class is unnecessary right now. You made difficult decisions in getting rid of the bomber class because there was a lot of cars running in it. But to streamline the show and make a more entertaining show, you did what you had to do. I think another class of sprint cars might confuse the fans a little bit. I don't think it's a bad idea. I just think given the landscape right now of what we have, I think things are right. If you could put in kind of a spec engine program to the 360s, that might be good for teams too, but we're just not there. It puts you on an island that you don't need to be on compared to some of the big traveling clubs like you just said. So I'm kind of on board with everything you said, Clint.
Yeah, and I think some of the younger teams that are coming over from the asphalt side and like the heritage teams, their families have spent fortunes on tires. So coming over to dirt is a lot cheaper in many respects, and the engine investment trading off against the tire bill over a few years has got to be pretty damn close to being where they need to be. So I think with the growth of the crates and when you have 60 teams in there, it's going to push some of these better funded teams to make the jump to 360s, and we're going to see everything just be even healthier than it has been last year. I mean, I predict we're going to have 50 crates and 30 360s on many nights this year at Oshweekend Speedway.
Fantastic numbers. So again, I don't think it's a bad idea. I just think it's not the right time for Oshweekend right now. It's not necessary. But suggestions are always good. Before we move on to Motorama, I want to slip in a little piece of news. Mike Mallet sent me a note from Dirt Track Digest. There is a feature story right now, dirttrackdigest.com. Matt Shepard is leaving Land of Legends Raceway. He is going to race weekly at Orange County Fair in Middletown, New York. That is a big scoop. Check it out, dirttrackdigest.com. Matt Shepard, one of the kings of dirt modified racing right now, leaving his backyard track, the former Canandaigua Speedway. So that's a big deal.
I want to talk about that, but I just want to finish weekend. Rules meeting, there's going to be March 22nd, press release coming out tomorrow to announce that. Schedule will be out Friday online. printed schedules available at Motorama. But Sunday, March 22nd, we're going to have a micro sprint and division rules meeting. But all the rules are set in the big divisions. Just clarification will be there for discussion if you want to come out, talk about procedures and stuff with Doug and them. Back to the Matt Shepard deal, Adam. I'm hearing other guys like Matt Williamson are also considering making that drive down to Middletown. Probably a lot closer for Shepard out of Waterloo, New York, than it is for Williamson coming here from Ontario.
Not by much. So that's still a nasty drive. So
it's still a couple hours better, but it's still a long drive, like you said. So, Brett Hearn just packed it in, and he is now the promoter of Orange County Fair Speedway. There's talk that they're throwing. Adam?
I missed everything you just said, except Adam, your internet cut out there, so apologies. We might have to call it a night here fairly shortly because you've got some audio challenges that have gotten worse.
All right, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
My question was, with Hearn being the promoter now, there's been some rumors of appearance money being tossed around. What are your thoughts on that? And is it a good thing, bad thing, and what are your thoughts? I mean, it's been going on for years.
Appearance money keeps the sport going. It worked for Howie Commander down at Lebanon Valley for a lot of years. There's lots of people that have done it. You're putting on a show. Let's make no mistake, Clinton. Nobody pays appearance money. Let's say, for example, if you pay $1,000 appearance money, you are making back $1,000 or more every time you do it. Otherwise, people don't do it.
For sure. When we have to calculate our guys, we look at how many fans we have to bring in to cover what we're paying these guys, and is it worth it? And if the math isn't there, it doesn't work. All right, so we'll get ready to wrap up the show. I want to thank Spence for everything, but I do want to talk about Motorama a little bit before we go. I think I have the dates wrong. I believe it's the 12th, 13th, and 14th.
No, you had the 12th, 13th. You had the 12th, 13th, and 14th, and we fixed it to the 13th, 14th, 15th, because it is Friday the 13th that the show opens. And I won't be there that day, but I won't be there Saturday or Sunday either.
Nice. I'll be there all weekend. We're going to be part of 2 displays going on, so we're excited about that. Make sure you stop by and check us out. Just want to send a shout out to Rich Schwarzenberg and what they've got going on. They have looked at the pinball project that's gone on. They're actually going to build a mini stock there on Friday in front of the high school kids that are coming out. I think that's a really cool deal. We'll talk about that coming a little bit forward. I'll try and bring back some video from Motorama of some of the stuff going on there. Just want to mention, make sure you come out and see us at the booth. And Spencer, you got that poster? We've got a 25th anniversary Weekend Speedway poster that'll be available at our booth there. So come on out. It's absolutely free. Come on out and pick up our 25th season poster, and we'll get you ready for the racing season.
That's actually Alex Tagliani's T-shirt this year as well.
What?
Sling it hard.
Family jokes off still, are you?
Bazinga!
Yeah, you panicked for a minute. I'm like, well, it was on our billboards last year, so it's ours first. No, it's great. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us on a Tuesday. Hopefully, we help you get through the dull of the racing season. Another great show, Adam. I thought, even though we just sit around and shoot the bull, some nights that's the best thing we can do. So we appreciate you hanging out with us. As always, your comments make us better, and we appreciate hearing from you. Adam, send us home.
You just did. Have a great week. We'll see you next Tuesday.
All right. Night, everybody.